Hi friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm Katie. I am going to do what I hope will be a quick video showing you the most basic way to make stickers out of the Planners Anonymous digital creative kits. So in the community, there have been a lot of people who are too intimidated to start, and I just want to show you how easy it is to make something simple. In the past, I've done some creative kit stuff here on the channel, but I think they've maybe been a little more complicated. I'll leave a playlist of the ones I've done linked below. But today we're just gonna do like super basic. So I'm going to be using the Planners Anonymous Heartfelt Holidays, which is their newest kit here for Christmas. The way these work is you download this PDF and there's a place to click download, and then you just need to download the files. I've already done that. And then they come as a zip file, which I right-clicked and extracted all. That will look a little different on a Mac, I believe, but I'm using Windows. Then there's the Creative Kit, and it includes a bunch of different folders. So there's the artwork, which are like individual transparent background PNGs. Then there are the papers, which are big 12 by 12 sized papers. There's the quotes, which again are on a transparent PNGs, and the word Fetty, which have like backgrounds to them. So I'm going to be doing this in Silhouette Studio. I have a Silhouette. If you have a Cricut, things will be similar in theory, but slightly different in execution. The actual ways that the registration marks are different, and I think Lisa has a video, and I will try to link that below for something. It should be similar in theory. If you don't have a cutting machine, you can still do this exactly the way I am with a couple modifications. I really like Silhouette Studio, so you could, and it's free. I have the designer edition, which is one upgrade, but you're not going to need an upgraded version. So if you're feeling really intimidated, you can use Canva or something else, but I do like Silhouette Studio. That's how I'm going to show it. I think other people have showed it in Canva. But if you don't have a cutting machine, you can do it here in Silhouette Studio as well. I'll let you know which things are different. So here I am in a brand new, I just opened it, Silhouette Studio. For print and cut stickers, if you are cutting them by machine, you go to this icon here, the page setup panel, and you go here to registration marks. You click that and you turn them on. These are what the cutting machine scans to know exactly where the artwork is so that it cuts precisely around them. This will be different in Cricut, and if you are not using a cutting machine, you can just leave them off and have more space. So just skip that part if you're not using a cutting machine. On the Silhouette, on my Silhouette, it does not like me to move these registration marks. They're officially movable here with these, but I have problems getting them to scan properly if I mess with these. So I always leave them at default. These hatch marks here are spaces that you can't put anything, not just anything you want to cut, but nothing. You need to leave this space clear so that the machine can read these registration marks. That's important. Sometimes I fudge it just a tiny bit, but you don't, as a beginner, you don't want to be messing with that. Here on this first page setup screen is where you can change how you want your paper to be oriented, and also things like what size the paper you're using is. Letter is the default where I live, and I always do portrait. I find the silhouettes to be a little persnickety about registration marks, and I do as much as I can not to mess with them. All right, now we've got the basics. Let me just show you something that I always like to do, which is to draw a box. I like to make, you can do full sheets, but I find it more convenient to make what are essentially 5x7 sheets. I find those easier to store. So I've gone here to the drawing tools and I've drawn a rectangle. I think that's going to be bigger than I want, but let's see. I want 2. So I right-clicked on it and I copied it. Right-click, paste, and I've arranged them. These are cutting lines. They're going to be invisible. You can tell that because they have a line weight of 0. So those I can put near the registration marks because I'm not actually going to print them. I'm only going to cut them, if that makes sense. So I've put those around here. They still need to be inside that original red line because that is the area that can cut. So I've got these 2 boxes now. I'm just gonna center them. That's fine. And I'm going to change them from red. Red is the default color, and because it is default, lots of other things come in red, and I just like it to be something different. So I'm going to set it to this yellow-orange color. And there that is. Those are going to make 2 half sheets that I find easy to store. Let's make some stickers. So in the Creative Kit, I'm going to go to Artwork, and I'm going to just drag and drop it into Silhouette Studio. That's all it is. Can you see that it comes in with a red line around it? That's why I change things away from having a red line, because everything comes in with a default red line. You can use that, but it would be cutting all the way around. So I always click on it and give it no line width, but you don't have to do that. I just find the red distracting. So now that I have it in here, I can move it around. I can click and resize it. It's not going to make a difference on this one, but I can flip it horizontally or vertically, and I can rotate it. All right. But that's, you know, if I'm just looking to make a bell. Let me do something that's going to be that way. Here's the chair. Oops, it came in. Okay, this is a weird thing about Silhouette Studio. Undo. You want to pull things into Silhouette where there isn't any other objects. So if I pull it onto somewhere that's totally empty, it comes in right. If I pull it over this bell, then it makes the bell shape with the art of what I pulled in. It's very weird. So just make sure you pull it somewhere totally separate. Again, I'm going to give it, see, no lines. Make it the size that I want. And then the way you make cut lines, and you won't need to do this if you aren't using a cutting machine. If you're not using a cutting machine, you just place it where you want it, and that's the end. But if you're doing it with a cutting machine, you can click on it, and you can go to the offset panel right here, and it will just make a line around it that will be the cutting line. Again, it comes in as a default of red. This is why I'm careful about changing the colors on these lines, because I don't want them all to be the same color for reasons I will get to when we cut it. So I'm going to change that to green. Now I have 2 separate elements. I have this chair and I have the cut line around it. Now if I want to put these back together, I can drag over the 2 and I can go here and center them. And now they're back. I like to drag over them and right click and group them. That way I can click and move them around together. So that's if you're just doing one basic element. Say I like this bell, but I want a ribbon on it. So I've dragged the ribbon in, I click on it, again, I give it no line weight. I put it here, you know, I adjust the size to what I want it to be, like that. Then I can click and drag to select the two. And I got two options here. I like to right click and make group and click group. That makes them one object together, right? Then I can go to offset. I can click offset. Usually the default is fine, but you can change how big you want the distance to be by adjusting this number here. And again, I'm going to change it to green. Now, again, they're separate. I can click, drag, go here, and center it. Drag, right click, group. Rotate it so that it fits nicely on my page within the lines, and that's good to go. Let me show you a slightly more complicated shape. Let's do this candy cane, and let's see. And this ornament. All right, I'm going to click and drag on both of them and get rid of the red outline. I'm going to drag it where I want it and adjust. Now, this candy cane is behind the ornament, which isn't what I want. So I'll click on it, I'll right click on it, and I'll say bring to front, and that way I can adjust the size on it, these aren't that pretty together. It would need more work, but I want to show you what it's like to make a complicated shape. So when I did the bow, it was inside of the bell and it didn't change anything. These two are going to make some weird shapes together. So I'm going to drag and drop, drag over them and make a compound path. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. I wanted to do group. Now I can do the offset, and when you first do it, oh, it went away because it's not real. So when you first do it, let me just undo so I can show this to you zoomed in. So I click it and I do offset. When you first do it, you see that like the lines overlap in a weird way when you've got a grouped item like this. But if you just click away from it, it adjusts and it gets rid of the extra lines, so you don't have to worry about it. If you don't want to cut this particular inside curve out, you can select your red outline, which can be hard. You can do release compound path. That makes the two lines separate. You can click on just this one on the inside and delete it. That's a little advanced. I find Silhouette a little hard to select just the things you want, but that's how you can do it. And oh, I forgot to change the color to green. Click and drag and group. All right, and so for basic stickers, you can just keep doing that over and over again. Oops. Again, you got to be careful about the dragging. For this one here, this is actually cut exactly the way I want it to be. I'm just gonna change it to green, which is my cutting color, because I actually want it to cut exactly on the lines, not with an offset, and then I'm good to go. All right. Let's talk about, and so all of the details, all of the artwork works that way. The quotes work the same way. Just drag them and drop them. Here, for something like this, you're gonna want to make the offset a lot bigger. So you just keep making it bigger until the pieces all go together, right? So that you don't have this element separate from the other one. But other than that, it's exactly the same. Let's talk about the papers really quick. So if you're just looking to print paper, drag it in. It comes in really big because it's formatted to be a 12 by 12 sheet. I can just put it on my page and print it like that, and you'll have a full-size paper, which is really nice. There's really nothing more to say about this. You don't need to cut the cutting machine. You don't need to do anything like that. But if you want to get a little more interesting, let's see if I can find a good thing to do with the paper. Here, let's pull this coupon in, right? And it's got peace, love, and happiness. Let's get rid of the red outline. But let's say I want to do the paper in a shape. I like the paper, but I actually don't want a full-size paper. I want to make a sticker with the paper. I can click on it and I can drag it into that shape. Now I have this paper pattern in the shape of that coupon. So that annoying thing that I've been avoiding the whole time actually works great here. And you can do this. This is particularly nice on shapes that are like, I don't know, a pretend cut line, like rip paper or whatever. Say this isn't the scale that you wanted it to be. You want it to be this shape, but you don't want it to be this scale. Let me just Control Z a few times. So we're back to our coupon. If you don't want it to be this scale, instead of dragging it right into the shape, drag it separately like we've been doing. And let's send it to the back so we can see our coupon. And then we can place this the way we want it. Now click and drag to select them both and go to the modify and click crop. Now you have the coupon in the pattern of the paper, but you've been able to fussy cut it essentially at the size that you want it to be. And then I can just set this to have a green outline and it will just cut around that. So you can do that from parts of the Creative Kit, but you can also buy other bits around the world, you know, pretend tears or I don't know, just a basic star, and you know, as long as it's a PNG, you can just do that. If you have an updated version, like an upgraded version of Designer, then you can use it. Then you can use SVGs, but you can't use that in the free. So anyway, you just go ahead and you put all your things on here, and when you're ready to print, you just go ahead and print as usual. You'll see the outlines are gone, right? Those don't print. They're like green outlines around things. You go to print, you select your printer, you just print as normal, right? I'm not going to do that right now. Now you've printed it, you need it to cut. So you'll put it on your mat. I always like to put it in the top left-hand corner of the mat. Theoretically, I think you can put it elsewhere based on the orientation on this page setup, but I don't like to move it. I'm a little superstitious. When you're ready to cut it, you go to send. Now, mine's not currently turned on, so it's going to be unavailable, but I'm going to show you. This top bar here is what's really important. If you only have the free version, you're not going to see this layer, but you will see these others. Simple is just, it's going to cut everything that's, I don't know. I never use simple. It's annoying. I like to have more control of it. I always go to line. Now, you'll notice I made my sheet cut lines a different color than my art cut lines. And that is on purpose. I want those two things to cut differently. So I don't want to cut things that don't have an outline on them, so that's why this is deselected, right? And I do want to drag and drop this to the bottom. I want it to cut out the art first and then do the sheets second. That's just going to prevent things from shifting while I'm cutting. Now, the way this works is that everything that has this green outline is going to cut by one set of settings, and if I change it, then everything that cuts through this with this yellow is going to be a different set of settings. That's how I wanted it. That's why I was very careful to get rid of the red outlines, because I didn't want them confusing my color scheme here. So Online Labels has print and cut settings on their website, and I've already included that in here. So Online Label Sticker Paper Clear Kiss is what I'm looking to do, and these are just pulled from their website. It's a blade depth of 2, a force of 5, a speed of 9, 1 pass. I've added that by clicking Add New Material and then saving those. I can do it right here. So user defined for the, I have the Cameo 3, so I'd want to pick this one. Here's where you adjust these different things, and then I click save, and then it comes in as new material, and you can rename it. I'll rename it to test. All right, it's really easy, and then you can just exit out. So here you would scroll down. Here's my test. I don't actually want the test because I didn't do it. I want Online Label Clear Kiss. And you might need to, come on, this is being weird. You might want to try it once. It may not work exactly how you want it to, so you may need to adjust those slightly based on how things actually, what paper you're using and whatever. This yellow line, I actually don't want kiss cut. I want to go all the way through, and I know from my settings that the copy paper is a good setting for that. That will cut off sheet instead of just stickers. So when I have these all set up the way I want to, this one is unselected, these two are here, I have them in the order that I want to. There's nothing, I don't ever change any of these things. The carriage has my auto blade in it, that's what I want. I don't mess, yeah, here's where you can change some of that, but you want it to be uncut. Presumably you want it to be on auto blade if that's what you have in. That's above this pay grade. I only ever use the auto blade. Then if my Cameo was connected, I would be able to click send, and you might get a warning if any of your stuff is outside of the lines, but none of mine is. I forgot to mention, I mean I did at the beginning, but I very carefully don't put anything in this shaded area. As I said, that will, maybe I would be willing to do that, but as a beginner, steer clear of it. And so then your machine will start making some weird noises. It will, the first thing it will do is it will scan these registration marks. If you're not using a cutting machine, if you're cutting them by hand, you don't need to do that. And then it will adjust the blade depth and stuff. It will make a lot of weird noises, and Silhouette is surprisingly loud. But then it will cut all of these stickers, and then when it's done with the green lines, it will again readjust the blade. You'll hear it making that sound again, and then it will cut the sheets around on these yellow-orange lines. And then presto, you have stickers. It's super easy. And you don't have to do too much design work that way. You can if you want to. You can make all kinds of complicated compound shapes if you want to, but you do not need to. There is, here, let's look at it, so much artwork that's already beautiful and complicated. If you want to just use it exactly the way it is, you don't need to adjust anything. But if you feel like it, there are other videos around the internet where you can get even more complicated. So I hope that helped you out. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, friends.